testimony here. Let me remind the audience that we will soon be getting to the point where we will take testimony from the list of folks. These initial presentations are from the authors of the bills, and they're allowed to bring a couple other folks to testify with them. But we're just about ready to get to the list pretty soon. For the members sitting here on the committee, we will open it up to questions. I believe Representative Williams will be testifying after Dr. Bonds, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. On behalf of the Milwaukee Public School Board, I'd like to thank the committee for coming and giving the public an opportunity to speak on this important issue. I'd like to cover several things. First, there's been a lot of misinformation about the race to the top house, and I want to clarify that information. Because, one, there is nothing that federal requirements that require a change in the government structure. That's been mentioned several times. But also what has not been mentioned is this is one-time funding. And what it requires is a lot of change in contracts to get those funds. I was on a conference call last week with the DPI superintendent and other people. And some of the conditions of the race to the top require change in labor contracts. So when people said that this doesn't impact the labor contract, it's not true. It does impact the labor contract. And when you hear about all these dollars amount, you're talking about maybe 250 million maximum. But if there's certain criteria relative to labor contracts that aren't changed, you don't get those dollars. I asked that question specifically in the conference call. So when you talk about the race to the top, Milwaukee may get maybe $5, $10, $15 million per year over a couple of years. You don't make long-term education reform for $5 million a year. The current board has redirected over $135 million back into the classroom. People say, how have you done it? We have made hard choices. We have closed close to 20 schools. We have cut our transportation budget. We have cut back millions of consulting fees. We have redirected these funds back into art and music, driver ad. We have tripled our private league away with non-regionalization in STEM, science, technology, engineering, math for females and minority students. We have challenges. We inherited a over $2 billion unfunded liability. But contrary to what some of the other speakers have said, this board has attacked that issue directly. And with the chairman commission, I'd like to at least give out a handout that the board members can read later with the chairman commission. Relative to the $2 billion unfunded liability the current school board inherited, a lot of that was a result of contracts that occurred in the 1980s and 1990s. And a lot of that also dealt with health care issues. Currently, the Southeast Wisconsin health care increase was over 90%, the highest in the state and the highest in the nation. So we are locked into a lot of contractual issues and issues that will require change in state law. But if you look at this handout I gave you, it wasn't like this board has not addressed those issues. In 2007, prior to the MPS report, and the talk about the mayor takeover, the current board called for a study of the fringe benefit and the pension obligations of the district. That was in 2007, prior to the board study. The current board has redirected millions of dollars by prepaid pension funds. We have instituted health awareness prevention programs. We have had regular meetings with the unions because one of the issues we have is healthcare costs, which is skyrocketing. But that's the issue of collective bargaining. So when people say that the school board can just go out and save $48 million a year by going on the open market, that's not true. We have contracts that we have to honor, and we have a collective bargaining process. So that's a lot of misinformation that said that the board has not attempted to address this unfunded liability. And even if you have the mayor control, you still have the same issues. One of the panel members mentioned earlier that you still have the issues of collective bargaining, the state law that you have to deal with. But what's important about a lot of this discussion, if you look at the data in Chicago, Washington, D.C., Detroit, Cleveland, where you have had mayor control. The reality is it's been a nightmare. The data has been inflated, test scores have been modified, parental involvement that went out the door, contracts to the business community have increased, the low-income and minority students have lost. So when you talk about taking over mayor control, it would be easy if you could have this magical wand and you would just turn it over to the mayor and all the problems would be solved in the urban district. The reality is it doesn't happen that way. I was at a conference in San Diego back in April with Secretary Johnson was there, and he talked about long-term changes and the need for changes to take time in 10, 15, 20 years. At the same conference was the superintendent of schools in Atlanta, Dr. Hall. She talked about it took almost 12 years before Atlanta started seeing changes. The Milwaukee public schools have challenges, yes. Why are we making changes, yes? Our graduation rate has increased from 48% to 69%. The national average is 7%. We still lag behind the state average of 86%. Our math scores have increased. But what's important now, you have a board that's really committed to solving these problems. And if you look at the accountability measures that this current board has put in and the funds that have been redirected to the classrooms, it's almost unbelievable. I would challenge any school board in America to say a current school board has directed over $137 million back into the classrooms during the time of fiscal challenges. And I would ask the Senate panel, when you take up these proposals, give serious consideration to the great cost of the deal, because it provides the mayor with unprecedented power, while at the same time allowing the current school board to do what it was elected to do. And when you look at the track record of the current school board and not the regular, you will see there's a significant progress in the district. And I just think it will turn the clock backward. We need to give over mayor control. There's too much uncertainty. And look at the cities where they have been mayor control, they have failed. If you look at what the current school board is doing, you're beginning to see progress. And we still have challenges yet. But this board has addressed those challenges directly. We have unfunded liability. We have to make hard decisions like closing schools, cutting funding, just a whole bunch of hard decisions. We are working with the unions to try to get favorable contract arrangement relative to health policy and potential obligations, but those are issues that you got to honor as collective bargaining with. And there's no magical solution. I wish we could just have a wand and just turn it over to someone else and all these problems would be gone. But the district, we do have challenges. We have 85% party rate. We have a 40% mobility rate. We have a 20% special ed rate. So we do have challenges. We lose the funding every year. We have a state funding formula that cuts. My first year on the school board, we cut $15 million from the budget. The reward was a loss of $6 million in state funding the next year, because for every dollar that you cut, you lose 38 cents per dollar the next year. We fund 2 public school systems. We raised $257 million in property tax. 57 million went to fund Milwaukee political choice, where MPS has no control over. The state legislature made some changes, but it only dropped the amount from 45% to 45% to 41%. So we literally raised the money for the property tax system. MPS is also becoming a school district of special needs. With all the various options available now, whether it's open enrollment, Chapter 220, charter schools, choice schools, these schools are able to select the schools they serve. MPS, we got to take everyone. And then I want to close. I heard a lot of the speakers talk about their connection to MPS. I don't think there was one speaker that had more connection to MPS than I did in terms of when they cite their relationship. I'm a graduate of MPS. My wife's a graduate of MPS. Both my sons are graduates of MPS. My wife's a career educator in MPS. She's been in the district 29 years. She's currently a principal in one of the most challenging schools in the district. So when you hear people talk about their relationship to the MPS, I don't think that any one of them has more in terms of actual direct involvement in the district than I have.